Hi, everybody. Welcome and thank you for tuning into the Positive Attraction Show with Coach Henry. I am so blessed to get these shows going. And today, I've really been wanting to talk this out with this young lady for quite a while because I use a metaphor in life of it's not just what you do, in this case, literally on the court, it's what you do in life. So I can't wait to talk that out with a perfect friend, guest for that. And without further ado, who are you?
My name is Chelsea Tinkham. Former basketball player. Now I am a realtor at Keller Williams Westlake Village.
Excellent. Yeah. And what is our common denominator that started this ball rolling? Your infamous, who's that gentleman?
The man, the myth, the legend himself, Dale Jacoby.
Yes. And we, for those of you, he was a guest on the show. So depending when this airs, you either will see him or you saw him prior to this. So, yes. Well, thank you for being here. A little bit about you. You obviously are married, and tell us a little bit more about you for those that don't know you yet.
Well, married about 4 years to my high school sweetheart. So
congratulations.
Very long time. Yeah. Put in a lot of time there. Yeah. We recently had a child. Well, recently. She's almost 2 now, which is
crazy.
Time flies.
Congrats. And you look great.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Her name's Tessa.
I didn't know. So I love it.
Tessa Tinkham. My husband's like, we need something that sounds good over a loudspeaker.
But I like the way he thinks. See, yeah. he's thinking
sports-minded.
I love that because he was himself. So, well, look, there's so many great things I want to unpack here. But let's just give your dad a little love for a moment because I know I'm going to give it to him because obviously the great, and I just saw one of your guys' posts with your brother kicking him, one of your little cameos that you guys do. Oh my God,
yeah.
Yeah, well, both of you guys, you and your brother, I mean, you're very athletic and you guys can get some serious kicks up there. So, but obviously that is our common denominator. That's how we met. Obviously we coached together for many, many years. I had the pleasure of doing a couple classes with you. Yes. And, but you know, what is something that you feel in seeing your dad and then our relationship and kind of like bringing this here and we'll cue off that because I want to get into some things with you.
Sure. Growing up with my dad as a father definitely was, I mean, I was blessed. My dad has instilled so much of my mindset, my heart, my soul. My dad, I mean, anyone who knows my dad would tell you, he'd give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't have it. So that's the issue. But, just instilling all of that in me. Sports-wise, I come from a very, very heavy sports background from growing up in gyms, going to my dad's tournaments, going to my dad's fights, my brother's tournaments. Yeah. Kind of segued me into my sports mentality into basketball, where my dad just mindset. You never show defeat, you never show fear, you never, you look your opponent right in the eye and you go for the throat. So,
but you know what? Just starting and queuing off that's everything. Look, people don't realize the importance of mindset. They just don't.
No,
right? Once the mind is the steering wheel of a car. Where the mind sets, the body and everything will follow. And I love that, your brother is killing it in the entertainment business, the grit, the grind, the hustle, it's real and he's making it happen. Your dad in his world of martial arts, his movies and all the endless things that we've talked about.
I'm sure he told you all about it.
Oh, I've known for a long time. I think we go 11, 12 years now, a little longer. But you specifically were something on my heart for a while, and I've told this to your dad many times because you are a perfect example of someone that excelled at some of the highest levels in transition. And the reason that is the focus to me of what I want to share with today's generation is that a lot of people excel at one thing, but they don't segue. It's like my mind is always baffled. How are you great here? And at least adjust. Look, I would not be a good basketball player. I would go out with a great mentality. Sure. Come on, Shells. One-on-one, I got you. And yes, and within seconds, I realized that I'm out of my league, but I'm going to bring it.
Sure.
I'm going to bring it.
Respect.
Yes.
Yep.
But why is that so hard for people now? So before we get into that answer, let's tell them a little bit about your background in what you did accomplish, only to set kind of a foundation.
Sure.
And then when you made the leap out of college, how you felt, real world, if you will, and what you have done in doing. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Growing up, obviously, like I said, background-wise, watched athletes in my family my entire life. Fell into basketball at a very young age. I was, having parents come up to my parents and be like, she's too rough. She can't play in our league. She needs to go up. So essentially, from there, just started playing, started playing, at 14 years old, I was playing with 18-year-olds basketball wise. So I was getting heavily recruited at 14 years old.
So good.
Yeah, I had every at the time, Pac-10 school after me during those times. My junior year, tore my ACL, and that's the first time I really think I knew about resilience. It was, grit. It's funny you mentioned the word grit.
Yeah.
It's kind of been my word of this year. Grit, just showing up, just, when all odds are stacked against you, you're going to come out, you're going to, prove whoever's thinking it wrong.
And we're going to stop there for a minute, Charles, because look, that's my heart for the people today, right? It's a word that isn't used like it used to be, but it's a word that people need to know. They need to know it. If they hear it on this show, they need to understand that word, because you're about to tell us the story of your ACL, but because of that grit, that resilience, that mindset, because in life, we're going to hit it. Marriages, relationships, everyone today is quick to give up.
Yep.
Give up.
Yep.
Too hard. Next one.
Yep.
They don't realize that if you don't push through the finish line, that you'll be a quitter your entire life.
You'll teach your brain it.
That's it. And then guess what? If you have kids, they'll be quitters.
Yep.
If you have a spouse, they'll quit.
Yep.
So let's go back to that ACL. I just wanted to highlight that word because it's such a powerful word.
And I couldn't agree more. So ACL, my junior year, for any of you who don't know, junior year is peak of recruiting.
Yeah.
That's when at the time, with NIL deals, all of that, like everything's changed now. This was probably 10, oh my God, showing my age, but like 10 plus years ago. You weren't allowed to even speak to, it was facilitated through letters, a certain amount of phone calls. So heaviest recruiting was your junior year. I tore my ACL the probably third game into my junior year.
Wow.
So resilience, grit. I was able to come back in 6 months, which is
That's
a
amazing.
rarity.
It is. I know. Yeah.
Without a brace. So I refused to wear a brace. I told my doctor that I will not be the person, showing, as I go back to the beginning, showing defeat. Showing that I've, I just want to come out and be on the stage with everyone else.
And also for them not to have an advantage over you.
Exactly.
If they see that, they know there's something there, and you are a target.
Exactly.
You are at top of your game. They don't go, I always tell people this, you don't go and, hey, who's the worst player on the team? No, who's the best? Double guard them.
Go for their knee. She's wearing a brace.
Trip them.
And again, respect. There's great players who were wearing braces, and that's totally fine, not to take away anything from them.
Yeah.
That was my mindset. So long story long over here. Came back ACL, obviously I had a verbal commitment to a school. They let me go, pretty much saying like, let's see how you come back. Let's see how you recover. Next thing you know, many, many, many schools after that were saying the same thing. In my mindset, I'm like, okay, work harder. Don't let defeat get you down here. My parents, I did not come from money. I did not come from a space where my parents were just able to dole out tuition. My back was against the wall.
Right.
Like I needed to get a scholarship.
You had to rise.
Exactly. So, and that's what I pride myself in, was rising to every occasion. So I was able to get a Division I scholarship.
So good.
Yeah, a Division I scholarship.
Seriously,
Thank you.
Again, these are moments that I want to, we're quick to go over them because sometimes we just have to go. But I also want to just like, come on, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That's truly amazing. And that's why I wanted your story to be told.
Thank you.
Because I've known this, obviously, and I remember talking to your dad so many times, and then I talked about you, and then we happened to see you out there at that conventions. We were at different conventions, but see you in Vegas. And I'm like, and I love it because my daughter's the one that you guys were talking, and she's like, hey, we got her lined up. And I'm like, amazing. Because Division I, full ride. Continue, please.
Yeah, so Division I full scholarship. Life's always, I see it through my industry every day, ups and downs.
Yeah.
You're on a certain platform, again, long story long. My sophomore year, I decided to come back home. Again, kind of back against the wall. Was able to do my thing at my Division I school.
Yeah.
Just felt a pull to come back to my roots, to come back to Cal Lutheran. I was able to break a lot of school records at Cal Lutheran.
So good.
I could have graduated my real senior year.
Yeah.
I couldn't let it go. So I ended up coming back, getting my emphasis, which, it's like an emphasis. It's like you can graduate, but you could also go back and get your PR emphasis.
Yeah.
So went back my senior year, did that. Again, was able to, in 2.5 technically short years, was able to reach 1,000-point club. Just a lot of accomplishments that were important to me. Might not be important to other people, but at the time, those were things that I could sign off on my career, my
100%.
long-winded career of basketball. I couldn't cut it short. I always have that issue of cutting it short.
Right.
So cutting it short, meaning like my mindset will not let me cut it short. Correct. What I mean.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying for those that understand. It wasn't
Never
taking
quit
shortcuts.
anything in my life.
Yep. And that again, 3 key words I've heard today that are amazing that I want anyone hearing or watching is grit. It's real. It's what steps in when you don't want to.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's it. The next one is accomplishments, because we don't spend enough time going, wait a minute, you know what? I have a successful marriage. Yeah, of course it could always be better. Anything could be better, but let's focus on your high school sweetheart in this case. So good. And then also never taking shortcuts, right? Never quitting. You finish it out. You then decide, oh, I didn't like it. Okay, but at least you finished it. Move on to something else. That's so good. Okay, so now tremendous attributes that you accomplish. Now you're at that stage, just to kind of bring people to relevance. Then we'll come back to the mindset. How did you decide what to do next?
Well, as I said, my emphasis was in PR and advertisement. I was a communications major. I wanted to be on the field. I wanted to be the person PR front row, talking to the being PR, being on the road, front row center. I quickly learned interview after interview where the highest person getting paid, and not that everything's about money, but essentially, unfortunately, we live in a world where we all need to survive. Yeah,
and you also wanted something, but like you said earlier, you didn't come from money, but look, at money in the hands of a right person does a lot of good.
Amen.
And you wanted, and previous guest that you met, we both love Ed Milet. You've heard Ed, and he had a show, I don't know if you ever heard, it's a great, one of his shows, just The One. And it talked about he wanted to be the one in his family to change the rest in a good way. And as much as your family is very talented, very blessed, in this form of business, I believe you're the one.
I'm the outlier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's very much a beautiful thing that you took upon yourself to say, wait a minute, this is great, but you wanted something, so continue. I think it's awesome.
Well, and kind of going off of that, the highest person getting paid, was getting paid an amount where I'm like, I just don't want to spend 10 years eating crap essentially to get there. Like, I want to start my life. I'm a now person. I'm a person who's like, let me move up the ranks. Like, what can I do more? So in my mind, I've always had a passion for houses. I've always had like my mom and I, we used to go into like the model homes back in the day and just kind of like go in and like dream pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's always been my passion. But in my head, I'm like, Chelsea, you have your degree. You've worked so hard. Like, real estate doesn't require a degree. It just requires like anyone can get a real estate license.
Right.
So it took me a little bit to be in a PR job where I'm like, you know what? Like, let me go for something where I am drawn towards. Like, I'm always going to wonder. So got my license, and then within a year, I was winning awards at my office. And
you were, and I attribute that because I've had the pleasure of being indirectly hearing that. And that's why I remember that your first year you connected with a great team. But I want to talk about that because a lot of people always think it's all or nothing. Sure. And I always talk about there is a good gray. And that is a good middle, right? In the process of going forward, not just sitting there. And I love that you said, because I think what I take from you saying is, look, I wanted to be untapped, unroofed.
Exactly. No ceiling.
No ceiling.
Yep, that's exactly what I would say.
Exactly, because I saw this great graph. I'll send it to you, and this is my ceiling now, but later it's my new floor.
Yeah.
And, and I love that because you're grateful, you're good, you're hungry, you're humble, but then you go at it, right? So now you got to taste your first year. You put that mindset. This is where it all started. You put that grit. You put in that champion attitude into your first year. So continue on, please.
Yeah, and I mean, after my first year, it kind of skyrocketed from there. I've seen a lot of success in my almost 8 years of real estate. I've worked.
8 years.
I know, right? Time flies. I've worked my behind off. I don't know if I can cuss on here.
Well, don't worry. Yeah, your dad just he won the top award for the most bleeps out of our show.
Oh,
so that's good. It's good though. It's Coach Dale to the premise. So we're
be
proud.
better.
Yes. You know.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Well, he just. I love it. I love it.
We're a passionate group.
Yes, you are, and don't ever change.
Thank you. And again, I mean, it was hard work, dedication, time spent in regard, like in my vows to my husband is literally like, thank you for understanding my clients and how they call me at 11 o'clock at night and I have to put out fires.
That's beautiful.
I know.
No, I mean,
so
that's really cool.
So romantic.
It is.
But things like that, it's like real estate was my life and it still is. However, I've had a little bit of a change in the past 2 years with my baby girl. Having Tessa has really centered me, has really made me think hard and long about what's really important in life. And I really think, I mean, my beliefs are we're put on this planet to reproduce and to have children and to make them better people for this world, this crazy horror, the crazy world we live in sometimes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's kind of where my mindset shifted. And I thought to myself, you know what, it's time to show an example to her. And I've been very successful on my team with my team, but I've also done a lot on my team to the point where there's no reason I should be building someone else's business. And in all respect to my team.
Of course.
Yeah, no disrespect. But again, let me go off on my own. Let me build what I know I can build on my own, which I still, again, there was no ceiling where I was at.
Yeah.
I was flourishing. I was doing great. I was comfortable, very comfortable.
Right.
Where put myself back in an uncomfortable position. And here I am now, you know, rebuilding myself back to the girl who tore her ACL.
Yeah.
And wanting to show resilience, show grit, show that when your back's against the wall in a tough market. I mean, it's no surprise to anybody who's reading a book right now. It's a tough market.
Yep.
Especially where we're at in Ventura County, LA County. It's a tough market. Yeah, National Association of Real Estate's changing a lot right now.
A lot. But this is why I think this is relevant because the very things that you instilled, well, your family, but you applying it, are the very things that are going to separate you. Look at today's job market. People are not realizing, and they better realize it soon. You're competing against AI. You're competing against 100%. Robots. You're competing against technology, where before it was just Chelsea against Chelsea.
Yes.
Right? Well, now Chelsea AI.
Yep.
I mean, there's already restaurants, drive-thrus with AI taking your orders. So what people are not adjusting, they're not taking this serious. It's the same way that all of a sudden .com became what it is today. And I share that with you because what cannot ever be replaced is the grit. It's the mindset. It's the people that will know how to maximize an AI, maximize technology to the benefits. And that's going to segue. It's going to be the people like yourself, honestly, that are going to, because you can adjust.
Yep.
So one of the analogies that I always love about sports is the adjustment. And one of the reasons that we both like fighting is because when you're going against someone you don't know how they fight, you have to quickly adjust around their style. If you fight a boxer, it's different. They don't use legs. If you fight a Muay Thai, so we have to constantly, you know, just like you would show up in a court not knowing sometimes the other team, or it was a spontaneous game that you had to adjust quickly. Who's the best player quickly? Who do I guard quickly? All that. So that mindset, add with grit, add with that attitude that you got to just rise. You have to rise. So now going back to your 2-year-old, which is awesome. So now your why is now a little becoming clearer.
Yes.
That as much as you were very blessed to be part of a great team, it kind of ran its course.
Yes.
Because you're like, I need to now something that's all mine, for better or for worse, that I can now create something for my little one that she can kind of grow into if she wants to. So tell me about that mental switch, because you on your own made the change for better. Technically, worse in the sense of challenges,
Sure.
better for the outcome.
Yep.
But it was free-willed. And I love that, because I'll share a story about that. How did that, as you looked at your little one, you just popped her out. You're like, this is something that needs to kind of, 8 years in marriage, or 8 years together, or married?
15 together.
15 together. Oh yeah, Travis, yeah. And how many years married?
2024.
Okay, awesome.
Oh my God.
I love that.
What year is
Sorry. I love that. Yeah. So how was that mindset shift? How did you have that conversation? I wanted people to hear, because you're now speaking to your best friend, your husband. Mm-hmm. Hey, I was like, I don't know what you call. I was going to use one of my nicknames, like, hey, hubby, I want to leave a very good job to go to same industry, of course, everything, but we're going to take a little bit of a hit. Mm-hmm. How did that go down?
Well, I mean, he's 15 years together. He's first-handed watched everything I'm capable of, and he's watched everything where it's like, when I'm comfortable, I get comfortable, and I'm the type of person who always needs a challenge, who always needs something to work towards. So with being on the team, I would say that, there was things that I didn't agree with, and there was things that, like, I got to a point where it's like, it was my partner. It's my partner.
Yeah.
And, at the time, you just outgrow each other. And I think that's kind of where it happened, where it's like, it's almost like go spread your wings, go fly. Like, I believe in you. So it's like, I have so many people behind me with this. And I have so many people just being like, resilience, if that's a term we believe with anybody, it's you.
Yeah.
Go for it. I mean, I'm sure you see like the little meme, right?
Yeah.
The little meme, I believe it's a book. It's the guy, he's like, there's diamonds or something behind this wall. And
he's so close.
He's so close. And then he stops right before. And that's, I think, my biggest fear. And that's something I've kind of adopted that my whole entire life was my biggest fear is that thinking I went too far and success being the next exit.
Right.
And that's something
You're one chip away
from success. And it's like, that's a mindset where I've seen success. I've witnessed success. So it's like, why not with this? So going back to your point on, how are you good at different things? It's because I'm going to outwork than that person. I'm going to outwork I've been running marathons lately, half marathons. Let me stay humble. I've been running half marathons lately, and it's like, I love it. I eat it up because it's like so many people are like, oh my God.
You should talk to Zach, my son, because he and Cassie's husband, JP, they're doing a triathlon, sorry, next month.
Whoa, that's my next one.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm telling you, it's crazy. They went from JP's very competitive with himself. He loves to just push himself, which I love. And Zach also, because especially when you work with your dad and me.
Yeah.
But during this adulthood, right?
Zach's a beast.
Thank you. And he's starting to see more and more because the baby and adjusting and how do I find? So now he just for fun did a 10K the other day. I'm like, that's fun. How you? It's like, right?
It's your mind.
Yes.
It's like your mind because it's like so many people who haven't done it.
Yeah.
Look at it from an outside's perspective, and it's like I can't even get up and run 3 miles.
Right.
But it's like when you're doing it and you're like one more mile until you're at 13, until you're 26, until you're at your triathlon. It's like, to teach your mind these things is huge. It's huge.
I love it, Chelsea. And I just posted it, and it's a great little the video. This other company does it, so I like to once a day now post something giving somebody else love. But it's like the definition of discipline is sacrificing something that you can have now for something you want later.
Absolutely.
Right? And I love that. It's really resonated with me more than ever at this stage. And that's why for you knew, look at it. Wisdom is leaving something good for something better. See, that to me is wisdom. Being stubborn is waiting until it becomes bad. Okay, now the signs are clear.
Yeah.
But no, that's not wisdom. That's why you were good. I mean, you could have been just fine and made the best of it.
Yeah.
But you knew, and something, and of course your hubby knew, no, this is it. And you were willing to sacrifice.
There's more.
There's more. Yeah. And now, yes, and it's different challenges, especially in today's market. But at the end of the day, this is where the grit comes in.
Yep.
You just show up. Hey, you're on a losing streak with the team. I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to practice my shots.
Show up every day. Any new agent coming on, I'm sure you'll probably get to like, what advice would you give a new agent?
Yeah.
It's show up every day.
Yep.
And that's something that from day one of me being in my office, I was told that from a top agent. And I'm like, what's the best advice you could give someone starting in this industry? And they're like, just show up.
Yep.
They're like, just show up. And they're like, if you're putting in the work, if you're doing it nonstop, someone could be a better talker than you. Someone could be better with numbers. Someone could be, better at this or that. If you're showing up and you're putting in the work and you're outworking that person, it's what's the saying? It's like talent will beat skill or any.
I know what you're saying, but I believe in that because look at it. When you hustle and talent and that persistent attitude, now you add skill. Because now you've become good at what you're doing and you combine that with the other traits, that's the unstoppable part. And that's the exciting part. But I want to unpack this part for these people hearing. And that is, how do you apply those characteristics? Because you grew up to it and then you ran with it. So let's say someone didn't grow up with it. They don't know what grit is. They don't know, nobody in their family. They want to be the one, but they don't have that same drive. So if you meet someone or anyone hearing and watching this can go, look, Charles, I love everything you said, but my dad, I didn't even know him. My mom quit everything. So how does that look for them? And then we'll do it together. I'll give a feedback, and I'm on the spot because I've never asked this question.
No, I was going to say
it's a hefty question, but
hefty question.
You radiant confidence, and I love that.
Thank you.
And people give me that compliment, and I'm grateful. I didn't come from that kind of family at all. I, with all due respect to my father, he did not resemble any of that. My mom loved her to death, but she was more comfortable and let's not rattle anybody. So God's grace made me, and hard knocks made me this.
Sure.
But as I always say, what am I going to do with it? So for you, someone hearing this next generation, they quit everything. They want to stop. So what do you think would be helpful to them to hear from you and I?
I am in your boat. I hear you. I've had my mind play tricks on me in every way, shape, and form to quit. It's easier to do this versus that. It's training your brain. It's training your brain because in my mindset, I'm huge on this. If you do one thing is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
I used to use it, how you practice is how you play.
Exactly. Like,
I love that.
For me, it's like, it's even down to me shopping at Trader Joe's, right? Me taking all the groceries out and having my cart. Seeing people putting their carts right in the parking spots. It's just a mind. It's called me crazy, but it's a mindset for me.
No, it's not. I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's how you do one thing is how you do everything.
100%.
Going the extra mile, grabbing that shopping cart, my own, and grabbing the other two bleat me out holes. Who left their carts there. Bringing it back. It's just things like that, and I train my brain because again, I would tell those people, you're not alone. It's easier to quit. It's easier to not go with, the road less traveled. Like it's easier.
100%. I love what you shared. And so I'll jump on that. So everybody listening and watching, guys, look, I think what I take from what Chelsea said is just be better for ourselves first. Be practical. So maybe they didn't come from that. I didn't come from that. So I had to learn some tough lessons. But wisdom is if I can give you direction somewhere because I've been there, then you're like, okay, cool. Then there's a heads up. But it's the little things that you just said, taking a shopping cart, there's trash on the floor. It's just be the better person for yourself. When you can do that one thing, next thing gets easier. Then the next thing gets easier. And before you know it, you're starting to develop a winning mentality. Because you're not expecting, is there cameras here? No, you're just doing it because it's the right thing to do. And that's why you have a lot of the success that you have and will continue to have because you're willing to put in the work. And that's why, guys, what I want to jump in and hearing that is be a little bit better and also don't believe the lies that are in our head. That we're not enough, that we're not worthy, because we are. And when we can just start small, because that's the biggest thing we all fall into. It's everyone says, you're in the championship game for you. Lights are on, the crowd, scouts are there. You play your best game ever. It's out of a movie. That's why people like that. But the reality is all the practices, the ACL.
No one knows what goes on behind the scenes.
No one does.
No one knows the work and the grit.
Correct. So that's why they see the end result. And that's my fear for this generation, that they don't see the end result. They see only the end result. They don't see all the work that took to get there. And that's why I hope that they're encouraged and they hear your story of like, look, ACL, boom, went, got top-notch school, something said, let me come back, but you left again on your terms to something kill records and another. And that's the beauty, is that you never quit. You adjusted, you elevated, you rose. And that, again, we're going to talk about some of the defeats. You shared one because, again, that's what gives you grit. Grit is sharpened just as much as humbleness is.
Yep.
But I think that's why wisdom is such a part of this, because when we don't have wisdom, then we're just going to grind, but don't realize it. Well, sometimes you could just put Google Map and save going in circles and trusting your gut.
Yep.
Right? That's wisdom.
Yep.
So thank you for sharing that news. So now, in thinking of, aside from the ACL story, which was awesome, well, not awesome, but awesome how you prevailed, what is, at any time, could have been marriage, could have been being a mom, could have been just you, what is something that helped change your story that at the time you didn't know if you were going to get through it?
Last year, through all of this, again, what people don't see is, to the eye, you're successful, you have a beautiful family, you know, whatever. People don't see what goes on behind the scenes of, you know, my mind, where, like I said, I've fought my demons in my head with, you know, what are you doing? Like, is it sure? Are you sure you can do this? And, you know, and things like that. So after having Tessa, I would say about a year after, I hit a wall, I hit a huge stint of anxiety.
Wow.
3 times in my life, all times when it's come, and I've recognized my patterns, and it's always when change occurs. It's always when I have a big change. I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
So when I feel out of control, I, for some reason, spike with anxiety.
Okay.
I was a mess last year. I did not think, you know, for a couple of months I was like this. I did not think I could get through it. You know, I was having to have my parents, and I'm just being totally candid here. I had to have my parents sometimes come over and help with Tessa when Tink was at work, just because I was so in my head.
Yeah.
It took complete grit. And that's why, to go back to your question on, you know, what advice I would give to people who don't have that, it's like, I know what advice, because I've been there. I've been there. I've been in the mindset of someone, of you, quit. Don't do it. Like, go take the road less, take the easier route.
Right.
So like I said, last year was just a huge stint of anxiety, and it was change. I read a lot of books, and these books, for some reason, like, I will swear by some of these books. Honestly, seriously, I encourage anyone to contact me if you're going through anxiety. I feel like I'm a very good component for helping people get through it, because people would never guess that I went through it.
Well, and this is why I like this platform, Chelsea, because people sometimes ask me, well, what's your objective or response? I go, look, my objective is quite simple. We now more than ever, I don't want to just point out what's wrong with this world, because it is in trouble. I want to be help part of the solution.
Absolutely.
And that's it. Yeah. And that's why, to me, hopefully someone takes you up on it and says, hey, Chelsea, yes, I see a lot of successes, but it comes with a price.
Absolutely.
You're also real. You know, that's why in one of the episodes I shared with Zach and Cass, and our episode, like, you know, like, no, I was 40 years old when I restarted. 40 years old when I restarted. Yeah. Okay, that's not 20s and resilient. That's 40 in my grit. 40 in me going, okay, and not letting those things in my head. I mean, 40 going in this community, people knowing me for many years, and like, I had to make sure pride was not in the way. Ego was not in the way. Where I should be, because that's the big struggle. Where I should be, you just run. As a matter of fact, I just asked our team to help me do some homework on, there's a passage in the Bible that talks about run your own path, right? It's meant for us to run our path in life, because we're all different. Where we align are some of these things, our version of anxiety, our version of defeat, our version of like, I don't know if I can do this. But that's why what you just said, having your parents and community and people that care, you have to be real. And I believe that. See, we're more connected in today's world than ever as far as technology and texting and voice texting, but we're more disconnected in human interaction than ever before.
Sure.
Right?
Agreed.
Because so that's why I love what you shared. And this is why I want this platform to grow, so people can go, oh, what Chelsea said, that hit, what Ozzy, your dad, great. Because we're all suffering the same way. And it's not that we're masking, we just don't stay down as long as many others. We know how to get back up
Grit.
after an LC, right? Exactly.
Yes.
So that's why, guys, I encourage you guys, like, if you don't never experience grit, talk to us.
Yeah. Because
it is something that you can learn. So is there a particular book that stood out to you, or a couple passages of that book that you felt like, whoa?
So, I was referred this book by someone who, again, was very high successful person. Again, you would never guess they had anxiety.
Yeah.
And one day they're just like, what's wrong? And I'm like telling them, like I'm in my head, like, I experience things, I manifest things more mentally than physically. So I'll be in my head and I'll just go quiet. So a lot of the times, at the people close to me will know.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, this person who knew me well was like, what's wrong with you? And I'm just like, whoa, like, okay. I was like, well, I'm experiencing, a stint of anxiety. And they're like, okay, well, what's going on? Kind of relate everything going on. And it's called A Life at Last, or At Last a Life. And it's by Paul something. If you go on Amazon, you'll find it. And this book, I'm telling you, changed my life.
Wow.
It changed my life in a sense where I feel like I already had, from a young age, had a mindset instilled with me, go, 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 be the best, be the best, be the best. But I think it flipped on me a little bit.
Sure.
Because I put so much pressure on myself that, my cup kind of got a little overflowed, because I'm like, you're supposed to be the best and you're over here switching your careers and you just had a child. What are you doing?
Right.
Or not switching my careers, but I mean like going off on your own. Like, what are you doing? You have this team where you're, you've seen huge success, and a lot of the success, like, let me preface, is my sphere. It's the people around me. It's my community coming to me. Right. So that's what I mean by it was more of a comfortability situation there.
Yeah.
But again, it just being completely vulnerable. It almost like I had to work back through it, like I worked through my ACL. But pressure makes diamonds, baby.
Yeah. Amen to that. And no, I love your vulnerability, because it is what we're missing in this world, is being real. That, it's not just the shiny car or whatever's at the end. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's the journey. That's the separation of the sea for most of us. And look, at the end of the day, anxiety is real. For some, it comes in different forms. Some eat it away. Some go and disappear, you name it. But at the end of the day, I love, and I did a quote a couple days ago that said, be thankful for the person that's willing to push you when nobody else is willing to say what's there. Yeah. See, because people quit on people, right? And sometimes people go, Henry, you're patient. I go, I've learned to be patient, to deliver things in a way that they can be heard for the reasons that you just said. What's my objective? To make someone feel bad? No. My objective is to help people become better, but they have to be in a place to listen. If I happen to ask you to come on this show a year ago in the middle of that, not knowing that, it would have, let's just say you said yes, it would have been horrible for you. Horrible, right? Because it
would, until you make it, but yeah.
Right, yeah, of course. And you would have, and I would have, but it's different when timing is so perfect for us in life.
Yep, absolutely. You're healed.
Yes,
yep,
and
healing.
You said something really powerful, and that is that, yes, having the best attitude is great. However, being real is also great. And I think that's what you're sharing, is that you're human. You don't have it all together all the time. It's okay to be sad sometimes. It's okay to say, you know what, I don't know, and I don't care for this moment. Doesn't mean I don't care in life. Just means like I'm just tired. And I get it. Look, I was the first entrepreneur in my family. I've been the one that carried 2 bankruptcies, and I've been through it. And my grit, I'm thankful. But I also have learned, as you're learning now, and you're much younger than me, to go, okay, it's okay to maybe if it is a marathon. I don't need to be running and leading the pace all the time. Yep. That I will finish my race, and maybe this race I'm not first, but I want to be the best mom, and it's meant to be with Tessa right now. That's where I need to be. That's my number one race. See, so it took a little adversity for you to wake you up to go, no, I am plenty successful, but it's a different kind of success. Now you can regroup And then Tessa can go, and then you'll have stories for her, let alone everybody else listening. But that's real. And I love that. And thank you for sharing that, because it is not, as the famous philosopher Sylvester Stallone say, well, it's not all rainbows and sunshine, and he said in Rocky, right?
Yeah.
But it is. And, we all love those movies with the happy ending. Why? Because we want to feel, for some people, they don't have hope, Chelsea. They don't have hope. They don't have a community. They don't have parents. They don't have a great husband, right? So it's not that they would envy you or myself. It's like, well, how can we find hope when we don't have that? And that's why I love that you shared that practical step. So thank you for sharing that. Now, man, I love this. Time flies when we're doing great. What is something now, through this experience, through everything you're at, what is a highlight now that you could say, wow? I mean, there's so many, having your daughter, being married, your career, but what is something, it could be just for you, something that every time now you're facing new grit, that kind of just like, I've been through worse, I'm going to get through that. What is an internal motivation for you?
I've been here before, like you just said.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, I lost a listing appointment yesterday.
Yeah.
For God only knows what reason, but I lost it.
Right.
To be a good winner, you got to be a good loser. And I mean, every day is a new development in real estate. So, I mean, at this point, the beauty of my job, every day is different. And I get to either have successes or losses close to every week at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I need to be okay and learn from the losses and celebrate the victories, and allow myself to celebrate the victories and not be like, what's next?
Yeah.
Because I do believe that's where people get in their head, is nothing's ever good enough.
Well, 100%. Look, there's a fine line between nothing's ever perfect, nothing's ever good enough, there is. And I believe for me, that comes with knowing that you're truly doing your best. And if you're doing your best and then that's the trigger. I mean, at what point do you adjust? At what point, going back to your second year at the Division I school, are you settling or pushing? No, you had to make a decision going, no, something, and you have that confidence. Same thing when you, for lack of water, jump ship to go on your own ship. Same thing. See, that to me is actually a winning attitude. To me, that is no different than me. I jumped from all fitness to real estate, full speed. But I am blessed to say, similar to you, that I took that same mentality, showing up at 5 a.m. for a $30 half-hour session with them, not to show up or call. And I remember, guess what? I would go right into, okay, I'll just sweep. I always made the best of it. But I had a friend that's a couple years ago, and he goes, Henry, you're not applying your worth. And I, of course, became defensive at first. No, I'm helping people and this. And it was all true, but I was quick to defend and not quick to listen to him. What he was saying is not that you aren't blessing people, it's that you're allowing yourself to not elevate. And it really stung later, not then. Later, I realized, why am I settling? I know I'm a great coach. I know I bring things to this world. So why am I justifying it? So then I went through as you said, in my head and this, and then I took the leap of faith, and thank God here I am. But I realized that the better position I'm in, just like you're saying, the better I can help people. Because now I can go back, if I was still just boxing coaching, I can help maybe those that can't afford me, but now I'm just blessing them instead of being upset because they can't afford to pay me more, and I'm stuck in this, like you said, PR, nothing wrong with it, but you were capped.
Yeah.
But now, yes, it's a struggle, and you will prevail, but then it will be untapped. It'll be yours. So that's the transition that we both have had to make for that.
Yeah.
So I love that share. So now that you're here and you're still trying to get the next wave of your new launch in your business, what does that look like for you mentally? What does that look like for you as you're now starting to branch out? What is an internal drive for you that goes, okay, this is a new grit, a different grit. I'm taking all my years, applying it to now. What helps you move through that?
I think envisioning success. I think what I do is I envision myself there, and I kind of feel how it feels. And I'm like, okay, now work backwards. What do I need to do to get to where I want to be?
So good. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of, I do a lot of like, I'm not like a woo woo person, but like I do a lot of like envisioning, and I do a lot of like, you know, manifesting and things like that. So, I mean, I truly think that, you know, if you work hard, it's going to pay off. And
100%.
that's what I do.
but I think,
and I have my moments. Granted,
hey,
I do.
But again, I think that's the beautiful thing, though, Chelsea, is that just because we strive to be better or our best doesn't mean that there's tremendous potholes on that journey.
Yeah.
Right. And we fall. You know, again, we fall. I for me, being obviously older and going through some horrific things, that I remember some holes that I'm like, okay. And that's what keeps me going, so that I am humble enough to know I've been in horrible positions, but to not stay there, but also to say, okay, I'm in a position that I'm good, but I'm not getting comfortable.
Yes,
to your point, I'm
exactly.
constantly pushing, but like you said, also not so much that you don't enjoy the victories along the way.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing that Tessa does for you, is kind of like you come home to that, you wake up to that, and you're like, okay, no matter how much, this is what matters.
Oh yeah, she humbles me. She like hits me in the face and like laughs. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like,
and then for me, it's now, you know, one grandchild already, Amari, and then little Wallhorn coming down with Cassie. And of course, my official name is G Poppy. You know, I tell everybody I'm too good.
That's amazing.
I'm too good looking to be a grandpa. So, you know.
Absolutely.
So one thing I just added, I'd like to kind of finish. I have one more question, but you get to, please, if you'd like, ask me a question of any kind. I just started this, so I'm excited.
Who is better, me or my dad? I'm just kidding.
He didn't get.
I'm totally
well, that's your
kidding.
question.
No.
Your dad knows, obviously, you know. So Avi, Coach Dale knows the answer. Come on.
No, I would say, you know, over the years, I've been watching you, and I've been watching your positive mindset. And I mean, like, you know, obviously, I know you've gone through your trials and tribulations. I know that. So to watch you prevail and come out and just be this like entrepreneur and take a risk and stuff, it's been inspiring for me to see. So I guess my question for you is, what has been your biggest challenge through, you know, new entrepreneur in regards to Tinkham Homes to new entrepreneur? What has been your biggest challenge?
Yeah. Thank you for your nice words. It's a good question. I would say for me, entrepreneurship has been in my blood since I was 15. I was actually talking to my son the other day, and I made a little coupon book. I went to all the little stores back then, and I have it, so it's something I could physically show one day.
Yeah.
And I got them to say, hey, Chelsea, you're a hairstylist. Would you give me 10% off? And then I would go sell that book to people. So I did that as my little entrepreneur project. So all my life, even through KO, I was an entrepreneur. That's how I really made my money. That's why I would disappear sometimes and be business coaching and life coaching and all that. And then the KO, the passion, that was my heart. I loved what we had. So what's kept me going is, ironically, and I don't think I've ever answered this way, but I'm going to say it, is nobody was going to save me. Wow. So I had no one to fall back on. And I've never said those words like that ever. So great question. I've shared that no one was going to save me, but I've never shared that nobody was going to bail me out. And I think that's why I had to keep going, because there was so many times where every credit card was maxed out, stories that I'll get too emotional sharing today, in money, providing, going into a weekend not knowing where I would have money to get groceries. So instead of being angry, I had to dig deep. When every time I would try and depend on someone, they would kind of fail me. Sure. They never helped me. So I just kind of realized over the years, I just got to go out and do it. Mm-hmm. So even when I left KO, we left it the right way. We closed it the right way. We had no debt. We did it right. Mm-hmm. But that took on huge debt. And I wasn't making that much money yet. I was just going, but I wanted to do the right thing. And thank God I did. But now I was like, okay, the question I'm going to ask you in a minute is, what am I going to do with it now? Mm-hmm. You know, we both had tastes of success, defeats, but overall we're good. Yeah. We're better than most.
Blessed.
And blessed.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do with this? So that once I identified that nobody was going to save me, nobody's going to just give me a blank check, said, Henry, go do what you want. We got you. But I thought that for so long. If somebody just saw, like you were able to have a Division I pick you up, right? So think of that in life for me as an entrepreneur. Can someone just see my talent in a Division I school of life and come say, Henry, dude, we see how good you are. Here's a nice salary. Go do it.
Yep.
But I want to give a shout out to my business partner, Daniel, who in my own way gave me that opportunity that I created, but he met me there. And in our business arrangement, the first couple of years, I'm like, look, I just need a little bit of a base so I can have the freedom to go take over this world, right? And he gave me that little bit of breathing room. And I'm happy to say up to this point in life, I'd never look back. And so I always thank Daniel for that, because I had great business partners and some here, and that wasn't their role. But at that stage in my life, I'm like, look, at the time I was married, at the time I was a little munchkin in the house, and I had other things. I'm like, I'm not 40 years old single. I'm now, this was 48, 49, and I'm leaping again. But that whole thing said, go and do it. Even this podcast, go and do it. Get it done. So, on that note, great question, Chels. Thank you. But because of time, now to you. Amazing share, Chels. Thank you. Seriously, I've been wanting to share this story, and I pray that people can really understand this word grit, and they look it up and they realize, and they even hit you up for it. What do you feel personally is going to be something in this year and years to come that now you know what you know? And as you unveil this, you want people to take from you something that you're being blessed that people can see through you. What does that look like for you as people can leave this show going, okay, I like that? What is something that you feel you're blessed with that people that you're being used like to give back to the world?
That's another really good question. I mean, honestly, I'm extremely blessed. I think have a great family, and I've come from nothing but love. So I mean, like, I think like through everything that I've been through in my life, I think that like love has never been something to waver. Yeah. I think I've always showed compassion, even in my lowest points. And tell me if I'm not answering your question, but like, I would think that it would be my love and compassion, even in my lowest and low points. So it's like for the people who are at a low point and the people who think that their back's against the wall and that there's no up from here, it's like, just hold on, show love and compassion. I mean, I truly believe that nothing lasts forever. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of something that I've never wavered from, is love. Yeah, you did answer. It's a great answer, because my question was exactly that, is how do you feel you're being blessed to give back through you? And to me, you summed it up in a very powerful four-letter word, love. Yeah. You love yourself. That's the attitude. You love your daughter now. You love your husband. You love your family. And again, there's been times where that's what you lean on, right? There's times where that's all you've had. So it's like, go to your point where, it was you against you, but at the end of the day, you always still had some sort of love from your children and things like that. Look at that. So 100%. Like, and but I get what you mean from a business standpoint, because exactly. You just want somebody to pick up and just be like, just trust me, like, just like be on this journey with me. Like I'm going to be the person to outwork the person who you think you're going to hire or this or that. Yep. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when people don't see your value. But I think that some people lets that defeat them and gives into a victim mentality on things like that. Yep. Where I think people like you and I rise to occasions. We learn from it. We're like, okay, we're going to strike out 3 times, but we're not out. We're going to keep going. Yep. And on that beautiful answer, there's a great little meme out there I saw, little video, and it was a little boy went up there with the bat, and he kept throwing the ball to himself, and like 3 or 4 times, and he could say, I am the best batter in the world. Oh, I love that. And he missed, right? He missed, and he struck himself out. So he took a moment, and he goes, I'm the best pitcher in the world. Like, how awesome that he was able to change his mindset. Yes. But instead of going like, I suck, to like, okay, I'm actually a pitcher, right? Yeah. But I appreciate your share, your genuine heart, being vulnerable and sharing, because
we've all been at the giving, we've all been at the needing, and that is life. To me, I want to leave people going, hey, when you're needing, just don't stay as low. And when you're good, go give with everything.
Exactly.
Change the world. One
Exactly.
person, one shopping cart, one person in the line before you. You're going to be okay.
100%.
You're going to be fine. So, Chelsea, thank you,
you.
for being on this show. I can't wait as we unveil Get Vibey and other things.
I love that.
For you to be a part of that as well, especially through your organization and your hard work of real estate locally.
Yes.
So when we do that, we'll definitely put all your hashtags so people can hit you up for all their local real estate needs.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for you and your family and your hubby. And I can't wait to meet Tessa. I haven't met her yet.
Oh, the little nugget.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Everybody, thank you. And for Chelsea, an amazing guest. And thanks for tuning in to Positive Traction. Until next time.